WRHU Hempstead, my name is Julianna Iovino, and this is Alternative Nation on 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University. Today, I am joined by Ryan Nolen from FOOTBALLHEAD. Calling in from Chicago, Ryan is the frontman of the band FOOTBALLHEAD. Just recently, the band signed to Tiny Engine's record label and are remastering and releasing their debut album, Overthinking Everything. So thank you so much for joining me today. A huge congrats on the record deal. And before we get started, I'd like to give you a chance to introduce yourself and the band to our listeners.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for including me in the program. My name is Ryan, and I am the songwriter and guitar player, and I sing too in FOOTBALLHEAD. And my band is the best. It's Snow Ellett, Snow Reyes on guitar and vocals, Adam Siska on bass, Liam Burns on guitar, and Robbie Kuntz on drums. 5-piece band.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, to start us off, what would you say is kind of the vibe of FOOTBALLHEAD's music? How would you describe like the sound and the lyrics?
I originally, when I started the band, I thought it was going to be this like pop radio thing, like a 90s pop radio, like think Third Eye Blind's self-titled record, but then also like think My Own Worst Enemy by Lit, and think Story of a Girl by 9 Days. I kind of thought that that was going to be the energy of the band, but just as time has gone on, I think that like we've gotten to like more alternative landscapes and like keeping those like pop structures for sure. But I think if you like alternative rock like Failure and the Smashing Pumpkins, I think there's something in FOOTBALLHEAD for you. I think if you like modern alternative rock like Fiddlehead and Basement, I think there's something for you. If you like pop punk like Blink-182 and Sum 41, I think there's something for you. So it's really trying to touch all those influences and incorporate it into, one project sound. And I'm doing that, trying to do my best to do that every day and every swing.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, I know you mentioned like that's a lot of the influences. So would you say those bands are the big influence, or is there another artist that you really like look up to when writing these songs?
I'd say those are some of the primary ones for sure. Some of my favorite bands are like Jimmy Eat World, Saves the Day. But then like I love and have always been obsessed with like modern music too. Like modern music, I've never taken like my finger off the pulse of like who's making really cool moves in, modern alternative music. So I mentioned like the Fiddleheads and even like bands like Narrowhead, Modern Color, some of those cool. I really like this band called Super Bloom right now. I really love their record. Just some of those soundscapes are so cool, and I really think that we're not necessarily like the Creed end of like post Nirvana alt rock, but like I mean there's some stuff in Creed too. Like that's like one of our like I listen to Creed weekly. We will definitely be going to see Creed next summer when they come to Chicago, Tinley Park. But just like those cool like heavy pop alternative songs, like I any band that puts those out, and those can come in all kinds of flavors, which is cool. I just try to take bits and pieces from all of them, I think.
That's awesome. I love that. And I can definitely hear that, in a bunch of the songs I've listened to. This, it's like, oh, it's kind of like this band, but then also it's, a little bit its own, it's unique.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we had a show last night, and a woman approached me and was like, I thought I knew I thought I knew the first song you played right when it started, but then you started singing like words, and I realized that like this was a totally new song to me. And I was like, that's one of the like more flattering things I feel like someone could say is like it's got something familiar, but it's entirely new. So I mean, that's artistry though, right? Like you try to land that every time if you can.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely see that. But kind of going into my next point as well, if someone was just getting into your music, what song would you recommend to them and why?
Okay. Does it have to be a song that's on online right now or no?
It can be one of the other ones. It's all good.
Okay. Well, what's like the blueprint or like the thesis for Football Head right now? I'll say our newest song, Habits. It's like the one we put out on Halloween, or re-released on Halloween. I think that like that sounds like a Green Day Nimrodi track, but it has like a heavier thing happening too. Like the melodies are like straight up like they are Hard Day's Night, Rubber Soul melodies, but with like big guitars, and like that's what I think that the band really is like trying to emulate. Like I do think those records are so crucial to for a reason because they provided a foundation for like how a prolific pop song is written. And of course there's many different ways to like switch that up, but that's what I'm trying to do, like essentially is like right now at this stage in the game we're trying to write like catchy awesome songs that have really cool like heavy elements and distorted elements, but keep it something familiar. So I would say Habits just because it reminds me of like this like Nimrodi Green Day flavor, but like maybe a little heavier, you know?
That's great. I like that. So I know you mentioned, the re-release and everything of these songs. What can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was really cool. Tiny Engines. We had some conversations with different labels about building a relationship with them, but Will from Tiny Engines reached out kind of blindly to me, and he told me that he had been listening to the album and he wasn't sure how far along we were in label conversations, and he kind of came in at the perfect time, honestly. And he just kind of sold me with how interested he was, how credible he was, and I didn't. This was unbeknownst to me, but in our relationship with them, he wanted to re-release the first album, and so that was kind of like a surprise to someone like me. But the more and more I've learned, like this happens pretty often in music, and like I mean, you think to like classic albums like Jimmy Eat World's like Bleed American was like not released on a label, like that was like just theirs. I can't remember who they were allegedly dropped from, but they put that out like themselves, and obviously that's like such a crucial like emo record. But yeah, he wanted to re-release the first album and give it a proper rollout, and I've been like DIY my whole life, so I don't really like this is my first time experiencing this kind of thing. And it's been great to have like other people who are the wind at your back, and you don't have to necessarily like take the whole burden of how you're going to like market yourself, on your own. I think that's like the biggest relief in all of this. So Will's been really supportive. Tiny Engines is really cool. They've put out like, some Tiger's Jaw stuff, Alien Boy stuff, Spirit of the Beehive stuff, Illuminati Hotties. Like they've put out like some really cool bands releases, and I don't know. Will just built credibility with me pretty early on. I liked him, so we went with Tiny Engines.
That's great. And congrats again. It's really awesome. And, I've been like listening to you guys from before that. So that's why I was like so excited. I was like, oh, yay. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's super cool. It's exciting to like to have anyone like, say like, hey, I really like this. Like that's always like that feels so good. That's what it's all about too. Like you never really write this stuff thinking like anything like that is gonna happen. Or like you don't necessarily create like with the intent of something like that coming along, but the fact that it does, you obviously like feel like there's got to be transparency here. Like I'm pinching myself every day. Like every cool thing that happens to our band, like I'm just like, this is so cool. Like wow. So I'm grateful. I feel very very lucky.
That's great. I'm glad. Now, kind of going off that too, this is all new, it's all happening recently. What would be your advice to other artists that are kind of in that beginning phase, don't have a record label yet, or, are really just starting out? What would be your advice?
I feel like that's me still. But no, any advice I have for anyone, and I'm sure as time will go on, this will probably change. But I would say early on, like our band played our first live show like last year, like this band. So, the first release for this band was in July of 2022. So like everything is happening like really fast to us. But I would say like my advice would be as prolific as possible. If you have an idea, I wouldn't worry about necessarily like perfecting it. I think if it's good, it'll be good at its core, and like that will shine through over anything else. And as long as you like wholeheartedly believe it and like do it with authenticity, like you just like increase your chances of something cool happening to you, tenfold. So, but be as consistent as possible too. Like that's what's like cool about songwriting is it's a practice, and you have to do it often if you want to improve, and you have to have a level of like feedback that's very sincere, So yeah, it takes a team for sure. It takes a unit. Like there's no like, and like when FOOTBALLHEAD first came out, it was like a solo project, but like it could never really be like defined as a solo project. I have way too many like supportive people in the mix who help it. So yeah, if you have the team, if you build it, they will come.
I love that. That's great advice. Thank you.
Of course.
Now, flipping a little bit, I know you just mentioned, about shows and everything. You've had a bunch of shows in Chicago. You recently played one in California. How was that experience?
That was the best, man. Like I wasn't expecting anyone to know who we were really when we played with Say Anything. And unbeknownst to me, this guy named Fred from The Color Fred opened the show, and he used to play in Taking Back Sunday, and he has like writing creds on Louder Now. Like he wrote some of the Taking Back Sunday songs like we all know, and he played he played really famous songs from like Louder Now and A Decade Under the Influence before we went on, and we were in the green room, and like we could hear 1,200 people or whatever like singing along to these songs, and I was just like, beautiful, we have to follow this. That's awesome. But he was so great. He was the coolest guy in the world, and so was Say Anything. They were so awesome. They're so sincere to we actually there was a conversation that happened. We got offered to play the night after we played too, the next morning. Yeah, which was also flattering, but just due to logistics we couldn't. Adam, who plays bass in my band, he had to get to Las Vegas to practice for When We Were Young. He was playing what the academy is there. So but LA hospitality was great, vibes were good, intensity was there. It was the first night, of a 3-night stint for them, and I hope we can go back to California soon because it is in theory my home state. So I love California.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And, that kind of brings me to a question. I didn't write it down because I was like, oh, I don't know how, I can fit it in. But how do you feel like with the Chicago music scene and everything, but also, you were in the LA music scene? Like, what do you really see going on there?
Oh, interesting. I can speak like wholeheartedly on the Chicago one because I've been in it for so long. I love our Chicago community. It's like it's real robust, and like it's real dense with like good bands. Like it's always been that way, and even as genres have shifted and acts have emerged, like I'm lucky, like I've been a part of the era. Like I used to watch like Beach Bunny play in living rooms to like 40, 50 people, like, and that wasn't that long ago. There's just so many things that I've seen and observed, and at the same time we're also interconnected. We all see each other all the time. There's always a level of respect and support, which I can really appreciate. But I have friends who play in LA. Like I went to high school in Palm Springs, California, and I have a lot of friends who live in Southern California who either work in music or entertainment or still play. Like I have a friend Carrick who plays in a band called Garb, and they're really cool. They get some awesome shows. Some San Diego friends still playing bands too. My friend Jin plays in a band called Field Rush, and they play LA a lot too. And it seems for the most part, like everyone's really excited to either attend like DIY shows or club shows still. And as long as everyone's like being sincere and inclusive, like that's what more can you ask for, you know? Like I think that everyone's experience and journey is unique, but everyone's is also important too. And I hope we can come to the East Coast pretty soon here. That would be pretty cool. I haven't spent as much time there as the Midwest or the West Coast, but I romanticize the East Coast for some reason. Hope we can get there pronto.
For sure. I mean, I'm saying the same thing. I'd love to see you guys here in New York.
That'd be sick.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say like New York City, has a lot of great stuff, and some of my favorite artists are from Chicago too. I went there, what was it, June? I went to go see Fall Out Boy there, and my friend and I were just like, "Whoa, like the music scene here, like it's crazy."
Yeah.
It's very different than New York.
Were you at the Wrigley Field Fall Out Boy show?
Yep,
Yeah, man.
I was.
I know like I've had communication with you, but we must have just missed each other.
Yeah, I was in the pit for it. I was like really close. I had waited since like
Yeah.
9 a.m. for that show.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
I know I'm a big fan of Fall Out Boy. I also love the Academy is, so that was part of why I went to Chicago for that too. I was like, oh, they're not playing the whole tour, like I want to see them. But
I think the Academy and Fall Out Boy both played so well that day. Like
mhm,
that was my first and only Academy show actually.
mhm,
Um, I did not see him at Riot Fest a couple of years ago just because of conflicts with like schedules and stuff, and that was my first time seeing them, and they crushed. And then I've seen Fall Out Boy a couple times where like that was easily the best. And like to look back and like know it's Chicago and that they used to play like the Knights of Columbus, like in Arlington Heights, and know they've played the Fireside Bowl, which I live right down the street from here. Like, I don't know, all that kind of stuff is rad. And they
mhm.
were awesome.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think definitely that's one of my favorite concerts I've probably ever been to. But also like again, that was my first time ever in Chicago too. My friend and I were just like, we have this idea, like we're gonna do it. We're off from school, like we can get off of work for the time. So we just did it. And now we keep saying, we're like, man, we really want to go back. Like we had a lot of fun there. And then like we were mostly there just for the show, and then we did some like touristy stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to go and explore some more of the music scene and like see some of those like smaller shows.
Yeah. Anytime. I could help facilitate that for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting back on with some more of the stuff for Football Head, though, do you guys see yourself doing like a headline tour, with the label now?
As far as touring plans go, they're still in the works. I would anticipate that we will be going somewhere next
Mhm.
year. I don't think it'll be in a headline capacity. I think it'll be in a support capacity, but we have optimism that we'll hit the road. I think that going to LA and getting to do that, I think that was just like we all like honestly like what's cool about our band is like we just we it's like seamless. Like everyone is so like cooperative, respectful, and like has so much fun. And like I hope that I'm pretty sure that like shines through on stage too. But like this is seriously like this is the most fun I've had playing bands ever in my life. And it's a testament to like how good everyone is in the band as musicians and people for sure.
That's great. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting near the end time for our show. Every time I have a show, though, I pick a random question to
Okay.
answer. So I have this bowl right here to pick a question.
Okay.
So let me pick one out real quick. Let's see. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh man. You know what? This just sticks out to me. I mean, this doesn't make me unique whatsoever, but like I called the album like Overthinking Everything because like you go down those like tunnels and holes in your brain, and they're rabbit holes and they never end, because you just think of all the negative possibilities. But more or less, like the phrase like one day at a time, I think really helps in an anxiety perspective, an art perspective. Like if you, especially lately, like planning anything has given me like so much stress and anxiety that I just like to like sound so stupid, but like literally just exist within the present day I'm in. And if I can like tackle that, that feels like a huge accomplishment. So I would say that, yeah, breathing too, like literally, I'm talking like therapy breathing, like suck it in for 3, hold it in for 4, exhale for 4, or whatever your, cadence is. Like that's really important stuff, because why why stress yourself out and like wear yourself away while you're here? Like we're all really lucky to be alive. And I just recently had one of my friends pass away, and I've had to shift my perspective on my whole entire life. So one day at a time, more or less. Like if you can really be pensive and reflective on like your accomplishments for the day and try and make tomorrow a better one, then you're rock solid. You're good to go.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Now, we have a few moments. Is there anything else you would like to say to our listeners?
Well, thank you, Juliana. Thank you to anyone who checks out Football Head. I love to be interactive on our Instagram. Like Adam has it and I have it too. Like, but anyone who wants to talk to us or chat with us, I try to be as open book as possible. Last thing I want to do is like convey some kind of like cool guy energy, because that's not who we are at all. So appreciate everyone who's given love or taken any interest in our band, and yeah, look forward to the future.
Thank you. And thank you again for joining me today. This has been Alternative Nation with Ryan from Football Head. I'm Juliana, and make sure to tune in to Alternative Nation every weekday from noon to 3 p.m. on 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University. Thank you.